Right, apologies then if there's a sudden dip in quality in the video, because my camera's on low battery and I don't have my charger with me, so if it does run out or just resort to using my webcam on my computer, then let's hope it doesn't get to that. So let's get on with the chapter. One Punch Man 74, The Depths of Despair, begins basically where we finished like, I don't know, like 20 minutes ago or so. Well, it'd be longer than that for you, unfortunately. With Bakuzan, basically demolished Suiryu. Suiryu's down on the ground. Did his hair turn white as well? I think his hair turned white. I'm not sure whether it did, but or it's just covered in dust or something. Basically, Suiryu is gone. He's out of there now. So is Max and Snek, and the whole fight between them. It wasn't even a fight. It was a brawl. Not a brawl. It was a massacre, really. At the end of the day, Goketsu took down all of them pretty easily. And Suiryu just carried on with that. Then Bakuzan just finished off what happened left. No, what am I saying? It doesn't. Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't start there. It starts off with this little eyeball floating around, and we learn that it's Gyoro, who's the assistant to the Monster King, and the Monster King basically watching what's going on, and they're like, the city's in chaos. It's a nightmare everywhere. It's, you know, these people have lost the depths of despair. They've got no hope left. Then we cut to King, whose power's cut out, and he's like, oh, did I miss something? Now, this is going to be a super important point, because King doesn't have a clue of what's happened. He has no idea of anything that's gone on. So what's probably going to happen is everyone's going to be in super despair, right? And everyone's like, we're done for, we've got no way of recovering from this, right? And then King's gonna show up and be like, what's happened? What's wrong? Everything's fine. He's gonna say something along those lines, and then that's gonna reignite the spark in everyone. So the other S-Class, so anyone who's down on their luck, so like any heroes who have been defeated, the public, the Hero Association in general, they'll be like, yeah, if the strongest man in the world is on our side, and he's not scared, what do we have to worry about? We'll be fine. We can get through this. And it made me kind of realise how much, like, King is just a physically normal man, really. But how much power he really has. Like, him just saying things gets people out of the way. Like, I remember when King first got introduced, that guy was like, was being a pervert to the girls. King just showed up, that guy immediately apologised. Women fell in love with him on the spot. Everyone was just like crowding around him, and he was like, I have to go. And it was like, out the way, King's coming through, King's coming through. It made me realise how much impact King's going to have on the series at the very least. I think there's going to be this thing in the future now, it's going through my head, where the Monster Association, like, it wasn't effective at all because of King. We have to take down King. They're going to send someone after King, but he's going to be hanging out with Saitama, and Saitama's going to bop him, and then they'll be like, well, he's got a posse with him, and then it's going to be King's posse instead of him. So like there'll be like this rogue ninja Sonic around him, and then he's always got S-Class Generals and the B-Class Ibuki, and there's this cape guy, this with no hair or whatever. And I think that's going to be a thing, possibly in the future. But yes, Gyoro informs us of what's basically happened with the others as well. So, with the two most successful ones, I can't remember the cat's name, put the cat one down there, and Goketsu. So, they recruited a bunch of monsters as well. Which was, so the cat one, who went to the prison, I completely forgot about this. He basically, I think, they didn't give numbers, but I can imagine almost every prisoner there was like, yeah, we'll take it. Then they basically said we've got some vile monsters now in comparison. And they didn't even send out their A-grade monsters. I'm also hoping, it's happening, it depends. So, Goro's supposed to fight Watchdog Man. I really want them not to fight for some reason. Just so in the upcoming battles that are already happening between the S-Class heroes and the Monster Association, Watchdog Man can fight the cat monster. That's gotta happen, right? Please let that happen. Like, it'd be great if he's like a really good monster, and then when Watchdog Man shows up, he just like runs away. That would be funny. I think it'd be good. Yeah. So, and then of course we know about Goketsu, and well, we know about Goketsu, but then they're filled in, and they're just like, hey, this is what's going on here, da da da. So he got you these great monsters, some expert martial artists. This is gonna be really good for the cause. And then he's like, Goketsu's still in the stadium, and he's like, Goketsu, what's going on? You're done now, come on, we need to go. And then Gyoro, he's like, Gyoro, calm down, man. We've got this recruit here, just finish it off, and I'll be with you in a sec. So, Bakuzan is immediately, so I forgot about this, I wasn't sure. So let me bring up my main point basically. So the monster cells, I think, basically enhance the evil in you as well. Like any kind of negativity, it just kind of makes that up as well with your physical abilities or whatever your abilities are. Because Bakuzan, or that might have been Bakuzan's true kind of personality, if you look at it, because he was always kind of quiet, but he was like, oh, like when he was through, for example, he was like, so I've just got to kill him to be number one, that's who all I have to do. And he was always kind of aggressive in that sense, but he was smug aggressive. And Bakuzan was very much just like, who dares face the mighty Bakuzan? And I've got to say, Bakuzan's design I quite like. I've never played the game, but if you've heard of Asura's Wrath, or you look at that, it seems very influenced by that, because, you know, he's obviously quite a vicious design. It's more the forearms more than anything. I was like, yeah, that seems very, that, I haven't even played it. But also, I think it was made by Capcom. Don't hold me to that. If it has, if it's not, Matt, put a cross in the middle. Well, there we go then. If it is, put a tick. Hey! Oh wait, no. Ugh. So, and they are, and I know Murata was a very big fan of Capcom because he did that big art for Street Fighter, I think, one time. So that might be what influenced the design for it. And I go Ketsu, and she's like, he's one of these guys, isn't he? And he basically very quickly goes to him like, you need to, okay, I get it, you might be a bit drunk on the power from becoming a monster. You need to calm down. Okay, because you've got, first thing you need to understand, and this is actually like a stereotypical kind of shonen thing. So like, this made me think of Dragon Ball, because it was actually a lesson that Master Roshi taught Goku and Krillin in Dragon Ball years ago. It was like, just remember, there's always someone stronger than you. Which is actually kind of ironic for Goketsu to say, considering how Goketsu's like, I'm the best, none of you are a challenge for me. And then we learn a bit about Monster King as well, who I am very curious about. Because, especially, obviously, he's the head of the Monster Association. But Goketsu described him as a being who is, without a doubt, the strongest being on Earth, and would wipe out everyone. Now, I don't know, there's a guy who runs around with a cape and no hair who I'd say differently, but... my main kind of thought about that is he? Because the only thing because most of the monsters are quite aggressive, as we see, like, someone's had to organise them together, and it might have been Monster King, but the thing is, if he's the strongest being on Earth and no one's a match for him, why did he not just take on the planet? Unless, of course, he might not be the strongest, it might be because of something to do with Blast, or Saitama, of course. He might be like, hey, he might not tell people, but for all we know, he could secretly be trying to get an organisation together to go like, hey, I fought this guy a couple of years ago, he demolished me, that's Saitama. It could be Blast for all we know. So, yeah, it's probably not Blast though, is it? Let's face it, it's probably not Blast. So that would be my main question. If he's apparently the strongest being, if Goketsu recognises his strength and he says he's stronger than him, that says a lot, to be fair, because Goketsu is very strong. Which also brings me on to my next point of, you know, he says, but I also need you to remember, there's a lot of monsters who are stronger than you, including me. Which, kind of, it's about the threat level more than anything. So, I know that they're both dragon level. Well, Goketsu says see he's dragon level along with him, which would put them at similar levels of strength. But of course, in this big fight, well, it's not a big fight, it's basically the difference in skill, I suppose, or how long he's been a monster, because Goketsu and basically both Goketsu and Bakuzan fight, and it's nice seeing monsters fight for a change, because Bakuzan doesn't really use his techniques anymore, I think. He just goes full on like monster rage on him, and Goketsu just kind of swats him away with one arm. He like catches him between his fingers. I was like, ooh, calm down, Goketsu. You know, and he does basically with one hand and, well, one arm even, he fights off Bakuzan, who's apparently dragon level as well. So I'm actually pretty curious as to see, like, if there's a more accurate breakdown of Dragon, because I also heard Boros was Dragon Plus. And I don't know if this was a mistranslation or something, but just because in the anime at the very end he was like, I'll destroy you and this planet. So wouldn't that put Boros at God level? Or could he only like, but if that was his full power attack? That's a talk for another day. We've talked about threat levels before, maybe we'll do a video on threat levels again. Basically though, that's my main kind of question. I would like a more accurate breakdown of, well, it's my request. I'd like a more accurate breakdown of levels. So like, does it go into further detail? So you've got like dragon level threats. How, like, is there, like, because, like, they said Boros Dragon Plus, is there, like, normal Dragon, Dragon Minus, like, something along those lines would be good, I think. Or if it was just, like, Dragon 1, Dragon 2, Dragon 3. That's just me being really nitpicky, though. I should just be enjoying it, because it was monsters fighting, it was pretty cool. Because Bakuzan and Goketsu, like, I wasn't expecting that at all. And it was actually, gave us a glimpse at Bakuzan's real strength as well. Well, I assume it's his real strength, because Bakuzan wasn't trying against anything, but that, it took me a while to figure out. It was only the last time I read it, I was like, oh, that's his fist. Because what happened was, Bakuzan was going for it, he's like, da 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 da. What, literally, Goketsu just goes, and like, he destroys, like, this massive part of the arena, basically. He opens a hole in the arena. I'm like, now, I still think Saitama's going to beat him, of course, but there's always that kind of feeling I get when I see, like, a big feat like that. I'm like, maybe this guy could be the guy that Saitama does. But this guy, right, first of all, he's not as strong as Boros. Mate, I'd love to see Boros fight some monsters. This is just a thought on the top of my head, but could you imagine if they just were like, hey, special, Boros actually survived against Saitama, he's back, and he's going to fight the monster association. No, that won't happen. But, yeah, so Boros is stronger than him, but it's just when I see things like that, feats that are similar to Saitama, I'm like, maybe he'll be a match. Because obviously, that reminded me of either Genos' like full power blast when he had like the arm kind of went, and it went everywhere. Or even Saitama's like death punch where he's like, and he opens it. Of course, Saitama's did a lot more damage, but nevertheless. And then, we also actually, I forgot to mention, we learn about the Monster Association too and how they act. So, obviously because they're monsters, this makes sense, but they say they act like an organisation, but they don't look out for each other. So they eventually say, look, if you die on the front lines, that's it, it's your fault, you shouldn't do that. Whereas the Hero Association, they're very much like, someone's in trouble on the front lines, let's go help them. It's those differences, of course, and I hope, and I think, while the heroes aren't that heroic, they'll seem more heroic in comparison to the monsters at least. We'll see how the story goes. I feel like I'm making it more complicated than it is. Okay, so sorry guys, my camera died. Apologies for the lower quality. I hope it's not too low quality. But back to my point I was making is the Hero Association, the Monster Association. Basically, the Hero Association should look better from this. But it was just kind of Goketsu's point he was making of saying, this is the Hero Association. Like, he wasn't making any point like that, what I'm saying. So he was basically just saying, like, okay, you're pretty strong. But even someone like you can't face the full force of the Hero Association. And even now, I still think they're kind of like, at least he kind of respects him in some sense. But at the same time, not really. Only because when even like Gyoro, maybe they're underestimating the humans a bit too much, only because someone of Goketsu's level who's Dragon was like, hey, if a few S-Class heroes show up, even you're going to get a few broken bones, saying you'll probably still beat them. I don't think so, because from what I've seen of them, maybe some of them he'd beat, but, I mean, if Genos was at full power, I think he could maybe fight to a standstill. Tatsumaki would destroy him. Bang would do a good number on him as well, I think. So, yeah, I think that was an important point as well. Now, of course, like I said before with the difference between Goketsu and Bakuzan, I'm just thinking about this now, it could be a couple of different factors. So it could be, of course, that because Goketsu's used to being a monster, he's calmer and he's not drunk on the power like he says he is. And it could, so it could be a case of Bakuzan's just not used to being a monster yet because he wasn't using any, like, of his so-called, he wasn't, like, any of his fighting techniques at all. I suppose none of them were, they're different. And Goketsu hasn't really said about using any fighting techniques, despite the fact he was an expert martial artist. So does it mean that there's not much point in being... Well, I suppose the point in hiring martial artists and turn them into monsters is because they're naturally strong and they've got the body for it, so it's enhanced all their natural abilities. But I haven't seen any of them use any kind of martial arts or techniques, so maybe they forget about that, or maybe just because they get drunk on the power, from what we've seen, of course. But I just thought Goketsu might have used something, but if they're too low below him, that makes sense too. So, yeah, where's Saitama? Now, I said earlier in the last chapter review I did, that Saitama, I think, will show up in the future. I didn't think he'd show up for the rest of this. I'm having second thoughts now, just because basically Goketsu goes off, right? And he basically warned him, was like, listen, you can stay if you want, but you're probably going to die because at some point we've got to retreat and plan our next attack because we can't, well, not we, I'm repeating myself. And I was like, Saitama probably won't show up. But then if I'm getting the thought in my head now that Bakuzan in the next chapter is going to go finish off Suiryu, Saitama will save him. Maybe Suiryu will gain consciousness to see Saitama save him from Bakuzan, maybe, which will be the icing on the cake for being the hero. And maybe in the future, Suiryu will fight Goketsu instead. That's a possibility. It really is. Yeah, this whole time I was like, where's Saitama? Where's Saitama? Where? Saitama, show up, please. People are going to die. Hello? Yeah, but this was a good chapter. Yeah, it was interesting. We learned a little about kind of the standing, I suppose. Basically, the Monster Association have a lot of monsters. Goketsu himself, who's pretty arrogant, is like, yeah, you get squashed by the Monster King. You won't stand a chance. So I kind of think he sees himself as weaker than the Monster King, which makes me more interested about the Monster King. Speaking of kings, King's gonna just basically make everything pointless. And where is Saitama? Saitama, please show up. People are dying, and I want to see you hit stuff again. And he's only been gone for like a month, and I miss him. Yeah, but this was a good chapter, I think. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next review. Feel free to talk to me about this below, of course. I really shouldn't be doing this. I've got too much work to do. Oh boy! Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.